Get ready for part 2 of Josh's very first whitetail hunt. In this episode, we're diving into the after-hunt discussion with Rowdy, Baysn, and Delayne Anderson. From teamwork in the field to a visit with Uncle Carl the taxidermist, this family adventure is packed with heart and excitement.
As you'll hear in the podcast, ultimately, we do a brief recap the next morning on our way to the taxidermist, but I did have that wonderful opportunity that was the payoff, if you will, and it doesn't always work like that. I know that. There have been many hunters that have spent many of hours in a blind from before sunrise to sunset with no opportunity presented, but I've always enjoyed the time alone in the field and in the wild to just have those conversations with the Creator and to give thanks, and this was no different for me. I had many of those conversations that day, and Rowdy and Baysn had gotten back from the pitching camp, and they weren't going to come into the blind. They were going to go to a different area within where we were in close proximity. Indicated that the shooting light was probably about 20 minutes is what remained, and it was just minutes later, 2 minutes to be exact, that this doe to my right come shooting out of the tree line, and this old bruiser of a warrior buck wasn't far behind, and I was able to make it happen at that moment. But that's not where the story ends. Really, that's all that does is, instead of maybe being a memory that's in pencil, it puts it in ink in my mind to hopefully be stored within the mental Rolodex of Josh Coursey for life, because it was just a great experience, and I invite you to come along and take this in from the onset to the finish, and just celebrate the what hunting does for us. Hunting, it's that dance with nature, a dialogue between predator and prey. I could tell you, whitetail they're just so different. They're just so different than anything I had ever been exposed to with other big game animals in the West. Mule deer, they're just more laid back. Whitetail are jittery. Their movement is different. Mule deer, their hopping is that classic fleeing mechanism. Whitetail just don't do that. And I'm excited for you to take a listen. Wild things in wild places.
Hey guys, so guess where we're going? We're going to the old taxidermist. We got Josh Coursey, Rowdy Anderson, and Delayne Anderson here with us today. And we're taking Josh Coursey's big old buck to the taxidermist.
So we are leaving 1890 Farms, LLC right now, without its director of operations. So following up, had a couple of weeks since we were here last trying to get on a nice whitetail, my first whitetail hunt, and it's been incredible. It's been a cool story, and we didn't bring the podcast equipment with us yesterday to the blind, and here we are now. Long night, long day, and we got it done. Let's talk about it a little.
Let's talk about it.
Because it was epic.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. Started 5 o'clock yesterday morning, left the house, got to where we wanted to get in before the break of daylight and get in the blind.
Long before the break of daylight.
Heck, I had time to take a nap in my truck.
It was cold.
It was cold.
It's been really cold. In fact, it's cold today. I'm glad we got it done yesterday. So we were in the blind early, you and I. Baysn, you had a baseball pitching camp you had to go to, so you had to skedaddle a little bit and go to a camp, but in the afternoon, you guys get back. Your dad texts me. You guys were going to go to a different piece of the property and check out what that was happening and the action on that landscape. And Baysn, tell the story.
Yesterday morning, let's go back 2 days.
2 days, okay.
Not just Saturday, but Friday. So Friday, I got school, get out of school. I run real quick out to this piece of property, and I start glassing up whitetail bucks. I find a bunch of does, seem like they're pretty rutted up. I'm listening, watching for deer, because whenever there's does around, there's probably gonna be some bucks in there also. I was glassing all these does, and then I started finding bucks, and I look to my right about 100 yards, and I find this way cool, but he's broke off right at his base on one side. And then I keep glassing along this little horizon. I find a really nice, this buck has crazy mass, beautiful eye guards. So I keep looking, don't find much else that night, and then home, we eat dinner.
A good dinner, by the way.
Yeah, great dinner.
Dad's peeling potatoes.
Oh, the pork chops.
like 3 different kinds of salt that you were getting scolded for putting on the pork chops that apparently are already salty. And they were epic.
They were good.
But yeah, we made a plan Friday night for Saturday morning for Josh. And I went to the piece of land that I went to the Friday night, and they went and sat in a ground blind a ways away from me. But I was glassing up deer. I saw the really nice buck from Friday night again. Found another really nice younger deer that had the same genetics as the buck that I seen on Friday night. My dad and I were texting back and forth with each other, and they were not seeing any deer. I was so confused. I didn't know if horses or cows pushed them out, but they were not seeing anything. They were hearing some action. They were hearing rattling by a few bucks, but just, I stay on this buck, and I'm watching him. I watch him get in his bed. He gets these 2 does pretty locked down on, and he beds down behind this Russian olive. And
What time was this?
this was probably about, I'd say it was about 10 o'clock, 10:30. I keep watching him, and I watch him for an hour and a half. I probably started watching him at 9:15. I just posted up on a haystack, found him, watched him, and this deer, and the people that were nice enough to let us hunt on their property allowed a few other people to pheasant hunt on their property that day. And they had 2 black labs. They were pushing their black labs through the sagebrush straight towards this buck, and they jumped this buck. This buck, he had his 3 does that he was with started running, and he followed them. And I texted my dad, this buck and these does are running your way. I told him that the pheasant hunters had jumped them, and my dad says, just come pick me up in a little bit, because I had to go to this pitching camp. We went to my house, changed for my baseball camp, and got ready. And Josh stayed in the blind chewing on his pork chop from the night before.
That's become a staple go-to now. A day-old pork chop.
Why don't you tell us how it was during the baseball camp?
Yeah, pretty much from 11 on, you were gone. And of course, while you were at your baseball camp, you're texting me, asking, seeing anything, any activity. And there wasn't. There just wasn't.
It was slow yesterday.
It was. But at any given minute, you're just anticipating that something's going to pop out of that tree line. So your head's on a swivel all day, just waiting, because it happens that fast. And just nothing was happening. And so about 3 o'clock, I get a text back from your dad that you guys are done and you're headed back my way. And it's still cold. And in fact, you asked, Rowdy, you got any sunshine? I'm like, no.
No.
There's no sun. Negative. And still no activity. Your dad says, well, we're gonna go on the backside of where you're at and see if we can glass anything from an elevated vantage point and see if there's any movement. And just nothing was moving around yesterday. A couple more hours and we're getting to the end of the day, and it's about 4:45. You text me, Rowdy, and said, got about 20 minutes left, you thought. But you had started to see some activity where you were at, and it was textbook. As soon as that sun had cleared the horizon and kind of cast that same light across the landscape, where the sun was over the hill, everything was in the same light, just stuff started to happen. I seen 2 does come out, and at that moment, just
gotta be ready.
Something's coming.
Yeah.
You got does moving, something's following them. Those 2 does went across about 140 yards from me, but nothing was on their trail. And start thinking, man, it's a long day. It's cold, and we're just going to have to give this another day. Right. But then at the same time, you're like, this is game time. Baysn, the eternal optimist, is like, it's game time. And as luck would have it, this doe pops out of the tree line to my right, about 60 yards, and she comes barreling out. And I'm like, something's on her. And this buck comes out 30 yards behind her, nose to the ground, and it's on. And when I first seen this buck, all I could see was his left side. He's directly parallel to me, and I'm thinking, man, this is a little buck. And he gets out there about 80 yards, and when he turns, I could see these incredible eye guards that are split at the top on both of them. And he's got great mass. I'm like, this is the buck. This is the buck. At that time, I did not know that it was the buck that you had seen earlier that morning. The beast of a buck.
Yeah.
But the pheasant hunters had jumped. And I send your dad the BBD text.
Group chat.
And that is, of course, big buck down.
My dad texted, you got 20 minutes left. Not 2 minutes later, I hear, and there's a creek below us, I hear, and my dad's like, what was that? Because he thinks it's something splashing off the creek, something's coming our way. And I'm like, Dad, that's a shot. It's a shot. And then like 30 seconds later, I get a buzz and I'm like, big buck down. And me and my dad start celebrating. And
you did celebrate. Yeah.
It's a big deal. And to back up even further for your listeners out there, you didn't just go into the blind and sit for a couple hours in the morning, go home, take a nap, maybe have a snack, come back out in the afternoon. You're in your blind from 6 o'clock in the morning until 5 minutes till legal shooting light ended. All day. Long day. And it was cold.
It was cold.
Really cold. Like that's not for the faint of heart. Not just everybody can do that.
You're
Kudos
always,
to you, man.
You're always just that 1 second away from something happening. And there's times when you'll sit and nothing will materialize.
I mean, we're right here in the peak of the rut, and the day before rut activity was crazy. Yeah,
Like,
we
this
thought it
is
was going to
be a
game
circus.
on all day, and it wasn't. Just like hunting elk, one day it's on, and one day it's not.
Get the buck down, 118 yards. He drops. I glass it, check its range, and I'm like, I need to send you a picture because you were figuring you were about 20 minutes out,
Right.
and Baysn, I sent you some beautiful pictures.
oh, my mom would not have been happy.
Your mom would
You
have
started
not.
working on that deer and we didn't get any.
Yeah, you're like, don't start cutting them up, and I had just barely had an opportunity to visit with you, and my phone, it's done. It's
Yeah.
dead. It just turns off. You get there, and you're jacked.
Oh yeah, I was ecstatic.
You were, and you're like, this is the buck I was telling you this morning that the pheasant hunters jumped.
Yeah, I'd seen that deer Friday night and Saturday morning and to Saturday afternoon, and then
And
pheasant hunters
last
jumped
year
him.
and the year before.
We have 3 years with this deer, and it's awesome.
And you look at this deer's teeth. This is an old deer.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna get this deer age, but we're guessing 7 years maybe.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
For sure.
You have the shed that you had found last year that you gave me last night, which was, you did not need to do that, buddy.
Oh, you're the one that got him, and I wasn't doing anything with it, and it'll go cool with this deer.
And it's cool just to see how he has progressed from last year to this year.
Yeah, he's got a lot more mass, and he's split both eye yards.
So here we are now. We're pulling in to your uncle's house called Anderson Taxidermy here in Riverton, Wyoming. He's retired,
Yep.
but he does take a handful of critters every year.
Special orders.
We called him from the field last night. He had done my nephew's deer last year. And we're excited to go meet Carl and drop this great buck off that can really do something, a work of art for this deer and the memories that were made. This was a great experience. And not ever hunting whitetail before, I can tell you, I could see how you get the bug for this. This is epic, man. This has been a great experience. But I would like to get Delaney's perspective because she wasn't here. Delaney, her younger brother Creed, her mom Lindsay, and my wife Dawn. What did your day look like yesterday?
We woke up and then we had some waffles and then we did a little bit of laundry and then we went to some craft fairs. And then after those craft fairs, we went and ate at Thai Chef. And then we went home and waited for you guys, and we were waiting all day for that text. We were getting ready to go to dinner, and once we just turned on to their property, we got the text. Then I just kept it to myself for 5 minutes, and then I heard another text, and it said, like, big buck down or something like that. And so I told them, and they're like, perfect. Because Dawn, she was so excited. And so we went to the house and had some dinner.
Were you excited?
Yes.
Do you like to hunt?
Yes.
Are you going to kill big bucks? Oh, yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, Delaney's going to crush it.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Everybody had skin in the game on this. Everybody was committed to time, either time away from other obligations, chores, whatever. But everybody was in this weekend on this.
Oh, yeah.
And it was cool.
That's awesome.
We called your uncle from the field, knowing that he's retired, does very few pieces.
Didn't know if he had a spot available.
And he was gracious enough to say, yeah, bring it in the morning. And now we're in his driveway, and we're going to go drop this in. We're going to leave this going. I'm going to put this in my pocket.
Okay.
And we'll just let this go
right.
naturally and not give any indication that we're mic'd up or anything. I think that'll be cool. Perfect. Hi, Carl. Nice to meet you. Josh Coursey, sir. Josh. Your reputation precedes you.
Oh.
First whitetail, sir.
I don't know what it is this year. That's two that we brought you that's got messed up ears.
Well,
but that's pretty awesome.
It is what it is.
And that ear was like that last year.
When you take this cartilage out and then I cut another one in that pattern, it will.
So, Carl, how long have you been doing this, sir?
Oh, geez. I did some when I was a kid. I wasn't professional for business. Let's see, I started in licensed taxidermy in 93, so whatever that is.
Wow. It's been a good run?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always liked doing it. And
yeah, great shop, Carl.
you should have seen it this morning. I've been up since 7 o'clock. It looks like Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment.
Wow. Whose deer is that?
That was my dad's.
What year was that taken, Carl?
1968, but
Good night.
that's not, that mount's new.
Right.
Yeah, I had to strip the horns and redo it, and they're a little bit dark, but over the years, every once in a while when I get a chance, I take 10-aught steel wool and lighten it up a little bit. But
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a good one.
How was my elk cape? Was it okay? Okay.
How was your elk horns?
At the house.
Yeah, he's just a cool buck. No matter which way you look at this guy, the character on him is just going to be pretty dang cool. But
7 1/4, and then I'll measure the neck.
yeah, we didn't ever measure his neck last night, but
I didn't have
I
a
didn't
tape.
have one in my pack either.
7 1/4. That's an old deer. This your first whitetail this year?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got 4 deer, 1 whitetail now, 2 sheep, and elk.
Carl, what kind of time do you have just into this already, just getting it fleshed and salted and ready to go to the tannery? What does that look like?
Probably about 8 hours.
8 hours. Yeah.
I'm picky. A lot of taxidermists, if you have chunks of meat on there that are thin, they leave them on. I try and get everything off.
Carl, thank
again,
you.
thank you very much,
bet.
sir.
Nice to meet
It's
you.
very nice to meet you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Uncle Carl.
Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. It's been a great adventure for sure.
Hey, Dad.
That was cool, man.
Yeah, that was.
great. Cool country you live in, man.
Yeah, we're lucky,
do.
man. We all live in cool places. It's all just got something different.
Right. Have you ever put traps out here?
Yeah, we had some traps up there last year. We didn't caught nothing, but
Yeah.
that's the kind of place where you maybe, and if you were like very focused for a couple of years, you might get one come through there. And I'm sure they're there, but
Delaney, what's on the docket today, sweetheart? What are you doing?
We might go to this craft thing for fair.
what
Oh, there
time
you
is
go.
that?
1 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Same time Bayson's got pitching camp.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
It's a 2-day pitching camp?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Brenda, the lady that helped put it all together, she said that the guy that's putting this on, if the kids are interested, he'd like to stay with them. I'm sure that's an additional cost, but we'll see. Like I say,
New pitching coach for the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers.
right? And if baseball's
That's
your
pretty
jam,
cool,
yeah, you
man.
probably ought to grab onto this guy's hip. And
What's a connection for him to even be here?
so he's from Broomfield, Colorado.
Okay.
And the people that are helping host it, they got that big training facility in town. Their boy plays for a team in Colorado. So from like the 1st of March till the end of October, they go to Denver every weekend and play baseball. And their son is,
Just a good ball player.
yeah, you'll probably see him MLB someday. If he sticks with it, he's good.
How old is he?
13.
Yeah.
No, he's 14.
Is he 14? He's got a talent.
That's a big commitment for mom and dad.
And his parents are super cool people, and they've set themselves up to where they can do that.
Nice.
So good on them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome that they're willing to make that sacrifice, and they enjoy it too. But today, that's a huge commitment.
Huge. 100 games a year.
Yeah, and every weekend.
Denver going. That's a track. That ain't just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
No one like he played on the United States team in the Dominican Republic 2 years in a row and won the championship.
That's cool.
Yeah, so pretty cool stuff. And so this guy that's at the camp, JJ's coach just passed away, and this kid had played for the coach, so he decided he was going to come back. He bought the organization, the youth baseball organization down there, and he's going to head it up. and take care of it, make sure it keeps going, along with being the pitching coach for the Dodgers. So.
Back at the homestead.
And that wraps up another episode of Wild Things and Wild Places. But remember, the journey doesn't end here. Make sure you never miss out by subscribing. Whether you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, streaming us on our website, or following us on social media, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more wild episodes.
Everybody knows I'm a muley fanatic.